The United Nations announced it will launch a war crimes investigation into Israeli forces' shooting of unarmed protesters in the Gaza Strip. This comes amid a congressional push to criminalize the Boycott, Divestment and Sanctions Movement, or BDS, which speaks to pressure Israel to comply with international humanitarian law. RT's Dan Cohen has more.
The announcement comes in the wake of the Israeli military's killing of at least 60 unarmed protesters and injuring of almost 3,200 in the Gaza Strip on Monday.
These people, many of whom were completely unarmed, were shot in the back, in the chest, in the head and limbs with live ammunition, as well as rubber-coated steel bullets and tear gas canisters.
On Tuesday, the United States blocked a UN Security Council resolution calling for an independent investigation into Monday's events. It's the third time the U.S. has done so since the Great March of Return began on March 30th. Since then, Israeli forces have killed 111 Palestinians and wounded more than 12,000. As the death toll increases, so too does support for BDS. In New York City, demonstrators gathered to voice their support for the movement.
BDS, boycott, sanctions, and divestment are a critical tool for people to end oppressive states like the apartheid state of South Africa and today the apartheid state of Israel.
But on Capitol Hill, members of Congress are attempting to criminalize BDS. In March 2017, Maryland Senator Ben Cardin sponsored the Anti-Israel Boycott Act, which sought to expand the Export Administration Act of 1979 to prohibit U.S. individuals and companies from boycotts. The bill stated that violators would be fined in a civil penalty that could reach $250,000, and willful violations are subject to criminal prosecution with possible results of a fine of up to $1 million and 20 years in prison. While 51 senators and the American Israel Public Affairs Committee supported the bill, it faced strong grassroots opposition. A coalition of more than 100 human rights groups opposed it, as did the American Civil Liberties Union. A slightly amended version of the bill removes the possibility of prison time for BDS supporters, but the civil fine of up to $250,000 and a criminal penalty of up to $1 million remain intact. The American Civil Liberties Union says the revised version still violates the First Amendment by, quote, unconstitutionally penalizing Americans who participate in political boycotts of companies doing business in Israel and its settlements in the occupied Palestinian territories. With the bill inching closer towards passage, the ACLU is likely to challenge it, a case that could go all the way to the Supreme Court. Reporting in Washington, Dan Cohen, RT.